Hi everyone. Hi, greetings. This is Cynthia Greb, and I'm here to talk about this pilgrimage I'm embarking on in just a couple weeks' time. So, a couple things brought this idea to the fore of my mind and my heart. Um, One is I took a couple of big leaps this past half year. I gave I resigned from my full-time job. It was a job I'd only had for a year, but I knew that my soul had really important work to do, and I couldn't do it while I was sitting in the same place 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I knew that my soul needed the freedom to do what it was supposed to be doing in the world. So I left that job, and I also resigned from a volunteer position that was taking about 30 hours of my time each week and was rather exhausting. So I let that go as well with love and gratitude. And I also decided to start collecting Social Security. And so those three events converged. You can't see my hand motions, but those three things converged to help me realize that I now had more freedom. I didn't have a rigid schedule with rigid responsibilities anymore. I definitely had a lot of volunteer work I was still doing. I was doing a lot of part-time jobs, but I did have more choice in the matter. I did have more flexibility in how I chose to spend my time. And I found myself yearning to travel again. And as I allowed myself to consider that possibility, I felt like Spirit was confirming that decision over and over and over again. So sometimes I try to figure out, was this my idea or was it, whispered in my ear by some angels or guides? And I think probably the latter. So anyway, here I am getting ready to embark on this sacred journey. It was going to be about 3 months, but it's looking like it's going to be closer to 4. So there are a couple of sacred tasks that I am setting for myself. One is I want to visit and sit with the energy of and learn about um, some really ancient sites that are in this country that we were never taught about in school. So there are many, 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 many earth mounds in this country. These mounds are either shaped like pyramids, some are flat-topped, but they're pyramidal in shape, and others are in the shape of animals. And these are large earthworks that can be seen especially from the air, and they can be anywhere from 800 to a couple thousand years old. And I think it's very interesting that we don't learn about this in school, because to me there's huge cultural and historical significance, not to mention spiritual significance. So to me these earthworks are on par with the pyramids in Mesoamerica and with Stonehenge and Avebury and these other amazing places in the UK. I mean, we have things like this in our own country and we don't even hardly know about it. It's amazing. There are also medicine wheels. And I just found this out in the last few months. I thought medicine wheels were a more contemporary um, creation that indigenous people use as uh, a ritual for their prayers. I didn't realize that they had some that were thousands of years old. Apparently, there's like 70 of these ancient medicine wheels in the North American continent. And there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of mounds. And many of these mounds actually are on private land, and the people don't recognize the significance, and they destroy them so they can have more farmland. So the ones that are left standing, I feel like it's really important that we all learn about them so that we can prevent more of them from being destroyed, which is very sad. My personal belief about why we are not taught about these is either a conscious or an unconscious prejudice against Native Americans. I think our history tends to be all about white men, presidents, wars, inventions of the white men. It's all white, 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 men, men, men. And those people of color, the amazing things women have done, none of that is focused on in our history classes. And we learn generically about genocide, and we learn generically about some of the customs of Native Americans, but we do not focus on it. And they are a huge part of they are a huge part of this nation's history because they were here first, obviously. They were here first, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to notice and acknowledge their accomplishments. And these huge earthworks are a huge accomplishment, right? I mean, it takes a lot of knowledge and skill to create these huge mounds. And what's even more interesting is um, most, if not all, have alignments, solar alignments, alignments with stars, like all the great things in history tend to do. So the first place I'm going to be going on my journey is Serpent Mound, which is the most well-known of the effigy mounds. That's what they call the animal-shaped mounds. So this Serpent Mound is shaped like this. It's this serpentine shape, and then the tail is in this spiral, which is a spiritually significant symbol. And then the mouth is open wide like this, and then there's like an egg-shaped mound within the contours of the open mouth. So my belief is that this is, my personal belief is that this is symbolic of new beginnings and of healing, because although there are obviously some negative things associated with snake in Christianity, in most traditions of the world, the snake is a very healing symbol. You know, the caduceus, for instance, that is the snake wrapped around the staff. That's part of the medical profession. That's obviously because it has healing energy, right? And Native Americans believe that snake is symbolic of new birth, rebirth, resurrection, things along those lines, because it sheds its skin and then it has a shiny new skin and it starts again, which is an amazing thing when you think about it, to shed your skin and then start all vulnerable and fresh again with a new shiny skin. Not too many animals do that. The tarantula is another one that does that, and the locust. So, anyway, I want to just really feel the energy of that place, and I want to share what I learned with all of you. I'm going to go to many mounds. There's many, many, many all throughout the central states and the south, the Midwest. There are many in Ohio and Iowa and Wisconsin. There's some large ones, a really huge, I can't think of the word. There's many, many, many in the Missouri area, Cahokia Mound. And there's also some in Georgia and Mississippi and all over the place. So I'm just going to check out a few of them and report to you. The second most important thing I'm doing, the second stop on my journey in June, is at Nottinghooten. This is a little village in Ohio, and the reason it's significant is the Lenape people, who are the indigenous people from the area where I come from, where I was born. Many of you know them as the Delaware, but that name has no significance to the Native people at all. It's the name of a lord. It has nothing to do with Native people. Lenape is what they call themselves, and it means the people. They call themselves the people. Now that's a good name. So anyway, the Lenape are from the area around the Delaware River. Again, that was named by a white person. So from New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern New York, and Delaware. That's where the Lenape were largely focused and concentrated. But like all Native people, unfortunately and sadly and horribly, they were pushed out of their native lands. And so they were pushed west, pushed west, pushed west. Um, Many went to Ohio, some went to Ontario. There's a reservation currently in Wisconsin, and there are many in Oklahoma now also. So what happened at Nonanhutin is there were a bunch of them that went there and settled, and these were peaceable people. And some Moravian missionaries. Moravian is a church, and there's a college and a seminary in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It happens to be the college I went to, so I am familiar with the term Moravian. Some Moravian people that were friendly with the Lenape also went there and joined them. And I don't think they had this strong urge to convert, but nevertheless, many of these Lenape did become Christians, and it didn't feel like it was a forced thing, as sometimes happen. It felt like something that came from their heart. They embraced this. They were very prayerful, devout, pacifist people. And yet, because of the anger of some white man, he gathered this militia, and there was the most horrendous massacre of the people, men, women, and children, in ways that are so brutal I can't even bear to speak it out loud. So if you want to learn more, please read it, because I don't even want to say the words, to be honest. It's intense. But I think it's really, really important that we learn about these individual massacres that happened, because we all hear about this, we all hear the term genocide, but that doesn't cover all we learn about every single battle in all the world wars, the Civil War, whatever. We learn about these battles, but we don't learn about the massacre of the indigenous people. And we need to acknowledge that if we're ever going to heal this big wound in our country, a huge wound. We decimated these people who cared for the earth for so long, and whose ancestors were from this land, and who were respectful to nature and had, good relationships with the animals and the plants of the earth, unlike us. And so it's really essential that we learn from these people about how to live on this earth in a good way. And we need to acknowledge what we did, and we need to somehow find ways to begin to heal this. So what I'm charging myself with is to go to some of these places and offer prayers. Is the very least that can be done, right? To go there, to acknowledge it, to offer prayers to the spirits of the people who who left the planet too soon, and to remember the people when they were alive and living in a good way, to learn about these people and what they were like and what they did when they were alive on this earth, right? And in this way we can make a difference for the descendants of all of us, right? And as many of us know, indigenous people, certainly the Iroquois, believed, which are really called the Haudenosaunee, believe that we need to make all our decisions based on how it impacts generations, 7 generations down the road. So Unlike now, where there are so many decisions made about how does it impact me, they believed we need to make decisions based on how it will impact our descendants. This is very important for the survival of the earth, which is struggling in so many ways, as you know. So, so between all these things that I do, I'm going to be spending time in nature, just slowing down, so I can cultivate a greater and more conscious connection with the realm of spirit, with my God, my creator, my guides, the ones who help us individually and collectively on this planet. I want to tune into that guidance, and it's hard to do sometimes in this world where we're so busy all the time, right? So I want to slow down so I can spend more time doing that, because we are spiritual beings. That is our eternal self. Our eternal self is a spiritual being. We just happen to be in physical form on planet Earth right now. And I believe that it's essential for us to remember or discover what our purpose is on the planet this time, because I believe we're all here at this time for a reason. What is the reason we're here? What is our soul calling us to do? Now is the time to listen to what our soul is saying. Now is the time, right? So many of us in this country have been living so superficially, focused so much on the material, and that is not what Creator had in mind for us. You know, I think Creator wants us to appreciate this beautiful world we've been given, and wants us to love one another and love this earth. But this collection of things that we seem obsessed with doing, this addiction to work and to making more money, which is a very temporal thing. Money helps us do things, but there's no inherent spiritual reason to be focused on that, to the exclusion of the rest of our spiritual lives. It's not what we're here for. We're not here to collect as many things as possible. What are we here for? That's something we can only answer individually. We have to seek our hearts, look inside our hearts, be still, listen. Why are we here? What can we do for the planet? What can we do for one another? What can we do for the trees and the waters and the animals? That's what we need to discover. So, thank you for listening as I chatter, and hopefully something that I say resonates with you. And I will continue to occasionally do these videos so you know what's going on. So I would appreciate your prayers as I embark on this journey, and I will be praying for you all as well. All right. Many blessings and much love. Okay. Bye-bye.